1.7 out of 10 is the overall average rating on IMDb for real horror. This may be the lowest rated film that I have reviewed. And while I don't necessarily agree with it being quite so low, I can completely see why it's not a very well received film. This was released in 1985, directed by Hagen and written by Jeanne. And I'll be honest, 80s horror films are some of my favourites. I think the 80s was prime horror. Absolutely love them. Real horror, not so much. Now this sounded really amazing. The description from IMDb is as follows, and this says, evil spirits that emerge from cans of old movie film, terrorise a neighbourhood. I love the idea of old film cans having evil spirits trapped inside of them. I just, being a film fan myself, when you're going to utilise old film to bring about that horror, I think there is so much that could be done with that. There are so many different avenues that could be explored. And honestly, the execution of the narrative is really bad. It's very dire. It's not scary. It's not cheesy scary. It's not even, bizarre scary, where there are some horrors that are not necessarily scary, but they're quite weird. That's not the case here either. And, it uses all kinds of footage to piece this film together. And I can kind of see what they were trying to do, and I think it had potential. It definitely had potential as a concept. I really like the idea of this narrative, but it just wasn't delivered very well at all. I don't really have anything against the acting, and, I quite liked some of the lighting. The lighting was quite atmospheric, and the colour palettes were quite good. And certainly in those aspects, it was very much an 80s horror film. But in every other aspect, no, I don't get it. Apparently, according to IMDb trivia, a sequel was planned, but never made. I'm not surprised. However, I would really love, to see somebody else take on this narrative, something very similar, and run with it. There's something so beautiful about the idea of just evil being inside cans of film. So many possibilities, so many opportunities to play with that. And this film just really, really let me down. There's literally nothing else that I can say about this film. It has very few redeeming qualities, and very few demon qualities as well. It's quite a big disappointment. It's not so much that I had high hopes for it, because I hadn't really read any positive reviews about it, but I hadn't also seen quite how negatively it had been received at the time. But because I liked the sound of it, I hoped it was good, and I feel a little let down. Maybe in years to come I'll watch it again and see if my opinion has changed. But for now, I actually would say watch it just to see how bad that the film is, and if you agree with the 1.7 rating. I'd say watch it for all of the wrong reasons. Maybe one day I might watch it again, but for now, I'm not going to do that.